Welcome, dear listeners, to Red Hunt, where we delve into the captivating relationships shared by Reddit users and unravel their compelling tales. Am I the antagonist for not punishing my daughter after she made a younger kid cry? I am a 41-year-old woman, and my daughter, who is 10 years old, has a friend group consisting of 5 girls. The majority of them are around 9-10 years old, except for one who is 7. Let's refer to this younger girl as Sarah. My daughter has informed me that Sarah has a habit of telling frequent lies, mainly concerning vacations or exciting experiences. For instance, if one girl mentions a family trip to a location called XYZ, Sarah will claim that she has also been there, possibly even multiple times. Recently, Anne was discussing how she purchased an oyster with a pearl inside, and Sarah fabricated a story about finding 9 or 10 oysters on the beach, all containing pearls. According to my daughter, Sarah consistently does this with every vacation or cool experience mentioned by any of the girls. Initially, the girls believed her, but over time it became clear that she couldn't have possibly visited every single vacation spot mentioned by the other 4 girls combined, especially multiple times. One of the girls in the group, who we will call Diana and is 9 years old, traveled to Paris during winter break. The other day, Anne, Diana, and Sarah were hanging out, and Diana began discussing her vacation. Sarah immediately chimed in, claiming that she had also been to Paris. Diana could likely perceive that she was lying and had enough of it. As per Anne's account, Diana confronted Sarah, while Sarah persisted in insisting that she was telling the truth. Diana then started questioning Sarah about the popular tourist attractions in Paris, to which Sarah couldn't provide any answers. Both Diana and Anne were frustrated with Sarah's dishonesty, so they decided to spend time together separately. The following day, Diana's mom and I received an angry text from Sarah's mom. She accused our daughters of making her child cry by bullying her. Although she admitted that Sarah lied about going to Paris, she argued that our older girls were to blame for harshly confronting her. I understand that Sarah is young, and I can empathize with why she feels compelled to lie. It's likely that she feels less cool compared to the other girls because she hasn't been on those vacations. I genuinely feel sorry for her. However, while I acknowledge that this feeling is terrible, especially for a child, the truth remains that lying is never acceptable, regardless of one's age. Another important point to note is that our girls never discuss their vacations in a boasting manner. They simply want to share their exciting experiences. I assure you that if my daughter ever belittled another child for not having been somewhere, I would reprimand her immediately. However, this was not the case in this situation, and I truly believe that Anne did nothing wrong. It was Sarah who lied to her friends and received a call-out due to their annoyance and hurt feelings. Diana's mom agrees with me that our girls are not at fault. We responded to her angry text by defending our girls and suggesting that she talk to Sarah about honesty. However, she reacted with further anger, insisting that our girls should be punished. I am aware that Sarah is considerably younger, and as Anne's mother, I may be biased in her favor. Therefore, I would like to hear more opinions. Am I the asshole for supporting my daughter? It's understandable that Sarah might feel left out or insecure about not having been on the same vacations as the other girls, but lying to try and fit in isn't the solution. Calling her out on her lies may have been harsh, but it's important for kids to learn that honesty is always better than pretending to be something they're not. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister I will never value her opinion on my lack of romantic life? This is a lengthy conflict I have with my sister regarding my romantic life. It dates back to when I lost my wife, whom I'll refer to as Angel, when we were both 26 years old. At that time, I became a single father to 2 young children under the age of 3. Despite having a strong support system and managing well for the past 17 years, my sister fails to understand that I have no desire or intention to date or remarry. She began suggesting it shortly after the first anniversary of Angel's passing. To me, it seemed to come out of nowhere. Her perspective was that I was too young to remain devoted to Angel, and that it was unfair for my children to grow up without a mother figure. We disagreed on this matter, and I warned her that if she didn't drop it, she would have limited contact with me and the kids. Although she mentioned it less frequently after that, she would still ask me once a year if I was ready to date again. Each time I firmly responded with a look that conveyed my disinterest. As my children grew older, I remained content with my life, and continued to have no desire to find a new partner. For a couple of years, my sister seemed to have let go of the issue. However, when my youngest child left for college in the fall, she brought it up again by Christmas. I reminded her that my answer hadn't changed from the last 1,000 times her asked. Now that I am an empty nester, my sister has become more extreme in her actions. She approached Angel's best friend, 2 of my long-term female friends, and many of her own acquaintances, suggesting that they pursue me romantically. Angel's best friend, who is happily married, initially thought my sister was joking but soon realized she was serious. She informed me about my sister's actions, leaving me stunned. During this time, my sister also approached Angel's two sisters, asking them to consider starting a relationship with me. I was both shocked and infuriated. I found my sister's persistent interference very displeasing. I confronted her about it, and she justified her actions by saying that I seemed to undervalue her opinion regarding my loneliness and the importance of having a love life. According to her, this is why she took matters into her own hands. She suggested that I should listen more to her and stop being so stubborn. In response, I made it clear that I would never value my sister's opinion on my romantic life. I told her that her obsession with finding me a partner was misguided and that she could not accept my contentment and disinterest in pursuing a new relationship. I also pointed out that she is the only person who shares her viewpoint, and she should reflect on her reasons for this instead of harassing me and others about it. She questioned how I could disregard her opinion after all the years of being close and claimed to know me better than anyone else. All she wants is to see me as happy as I was with Angel. In turn, I reminded her that she does not value my opinion on my own life, so why should I value hers? She accused me of being unreasonable once again and stated that the situation is different, implying that I should understand why. Am I the asshole here? It's completely understandable that you have no desire to date or remarry after losing your wife at a young age. Your sister's constant insistence in meddling in your romantic life is disrespectful, and you have every right to shut her down. She needs to respect your decision and stop trying to push her opinions on you. Am I the antagonist for picking my college friend's wedding over my childhood friend's wedding? I am currently a bridesmaid for 2 weddings that are taking place on the same day. One of the weddings is local, in Dallas, Texas, and the other is a destination wedding in Miami, Florida. For the sake of simplicity, let's refer to the brides as Dallas and Miami respectively. Dallas is a childhood friend of mine, and we even lived together in college for a year. Though we don't see each other as frequently now, whenever we do meet, it feels just like old times, with so many cherished memories. Dallas happens to be one of the sweetest people in my life. Miami, on the other hand, is a friend I made during college in a different group than Dallas. Our friendship grew stronger after we graduated, and Miami has been planning my birthday celebration every year. Our group consists of 6 girls, and we're all extremely close. Like any other girl group, we've had our fair share of drama, but we always remain best friends. We hang out together all the time. What's interesting is that all of my college girlfriends are also serving as bridesmaids for Miami's wedding. My husband is friends with their boyfriends and husbands, so he definitely prefers attending Miami's wedding. Miami initially informed me of her wedding date during a group dinner without placing a deposit. The next day, I shared this information with Dallas, who then revealed that she was also planning her wedding on the same day. I must mention there's not much overlap in terms of mutual friends attending the weddings, except for one other girl who is a bridesmaid for both weddings. Upon learning this, Dallas tried to schedule her wedding a week prior to Miami's, but unfortunately the slot got booked. Consequently, her only option was to have her wedding on the same day as Miami's, according to her. Dallas went ahead and placed the deposit first before informing me and the other mutual friend, knowing we were invited as bridesmaids for both weddings. The other friend, being childhood friends with Miami, promptly chose to attend Miami's wedding without a moment's hesitation. This situation has left Dallas hopeful that I will attend her wedding since our mutual friend has already opted for Miami's. Additionally, Dallas believes that I should prioritize her wedding due to our shared history as childhood friends. However, when I spoke to Dallas over the phone, I explained that while it wasn't an easy decision, I had to attend Miami's wedding because she had asked me first. Dallas reacted with intense anger, to the extent that she no longer wishes to be friends. Now I'm wondering if I've acted selfishly. Dallas argues that she placed the deposit first, and Miami should change her wedding date since she didn't secure it with a deposit. I understand her frustration, as 2 of her chosen bridesmaids will be absent. I assured her that I would make it up to her if I'm still invited to any wedding-related events, but she remains deeply upset with me. Now I question whether I made the morally right decision. Missing Miami's wedding would result in serious FOMO for me. All my friends would be there and she did ask me first. Choosing Dallas over Miami wouldn't lead to the end of our friendship. It's worth mentioning that both Dallas and Miami were bridesmaids at my wedding last year. You're definitely not an asshole for choosing to go to Miami's wedding. She asked you first, and you have a closer relationship with her. It sucks that Dallas got upset, but you can't control the circumstances and Miami shouldn't be expected to change her wedding date just because Dallas didn't put a deposit. Am I the antagonist for telling my wife how to spend her inheritance? My wife's father recently passed away, leaving behind assets worth nearly $1 million, which we were very surprised by. He worked in middle to upper middle management of several small companies, and was known for being personally frugal but generous to those around him, especially after his wife passed a few years earlier. My wife, as an only child, is the sole beneficiary of his estate, and he did not leave any instructions for how this inheritance should be used. This would be a life-changing amount of money for us. We are relatively lucky in that we are both college graduates and have good stable jobs, each making about $50,000 a year. However, with this amount of money, we could buy a house and eliminate our biggest expense, which is rent each month. We could finally upgrade our aging car to an electric vehicle, which we have wanted to do for ages, partly for environmental reasons, partly also because electricity is cheaper than gas, where we are, so it would actually save us money long term. We have a small amount of student debt that we were going to pay off soon anyway, but we could pay it off immediately. We could start a college fund for our children. And even though I am under no illusions of never having to work again, it would allow us to pull back on the hours and do more of what we enjoy, spend time together, travel and see the world, etc. It seems like when my wife learned of this windfall, she immediately assumed we were going to donate it to charity. We have always supported charitable causes we care about, and I don't object to donating a portion. However, she seemed surprised that I wanted to use it for ourselves. Her reasoning is that no one needs or should have this amount of money all at once. We didn't earn it and didn't even know it was there. We were getting along perfectly fine before, and we would still be perfectly fine without it. Sure, it could make our lives more comfortable, but the right charities could leverage this amount of money to change thousands of people's lives. It turned into a nasty argument. I told her since we are married, I thought I should have some say in a major financial decision like this, especially since it has implications for both of us. She said the money was left to her, so she should be able to decide what to do with her inheritance. Am I the asshole? It's understandable that you would want to use the inheritance to improve your own lives, and it's not unreasonable to have a say in the decision since you are married. However, it would also be thoughtful to consider donating a portion to charity, as your wife's father may have intended. Am I the antagonist for not sharing inheritance with my sister? My grandmother recently passed away. She wasn't rich, but she did have a substantial amount of money saved and owned her house. She and I were very close, and I would regularly visit her just to hang out and talk. I even moved closer to her so I could help her more as she started needing assistance. I offered to move in with her, but she valued her independence and declined. The fact that I made so much time for her meant a lot to her. I didn't do any of this with personal gain in mind. I simply loved my grandma and enjoyed spending time with her, wanting her to be comfortable. Let's call my sister Alice. Alice loved our grandma, but wasn't as close to her as I was. She would sometimes make fun of and tease grandma, which grandma laughed along with to an extent, but it wasn't always well received. Alice also got upset at grandma for not giving her more money for college, although she did provide some assistance. This hurt grandma's feelings a lot. Although my mom and uncle, who doesn't have kids, received an equal division of most of grandma's money, a small portion was left to my sister and me. On the other hand, grandma left her house to me. My sister received some other material possessions like her coin collection, but obviously, that doesn't compare to inheriting a whole house. I haven't decided yet what to do with the property. I am considering either moving in or selling it to buy my own place since I currently rent. However, I am still weighing the pros and cons of both options. Here's where the conflict arises. Alice is experiencing financial struggles at the moment and is urging me to sell the house and split the money with her. She argues that fairness was always important to grandma, and it's unfair for me to be the sole owner of the house when Alice, her granddaughter as well, could use the money. She's really upset about this and has directed a lot of her anger at me. I'm torn about what to do. I value my relationship with my sister and don't want her to resent me. She does have a point about grandma valuing fairness. I also don't want her to struggle when I have the means to help. It feels wrong for me to insist on keeping the house when I haven't even decided what to do with it yet. On the other hand, having the house or selling it to purchase a new place would relieve a huge burden for me and my partner after losing someone so dear to us. I genuinely believe grandma would have wanted that for us, which is why she left me the house. So am I the asshole for not giving Alice half the value of our grandma's house? It's a complicated situation and both you and your sister have valid points. Ultimately, it comes down to what you think your grandma would have wanted and what you believe is the best decision for yourself and your partner. Maybe have an open and honest conversation with your sister to try and find a compromise that works for both of you. Am I crazy, or was my partner meeting up with his ex while we were dating? My partner and I have been together for 4 years, and I really enjoy spending time with him. He takes good care of me. There were several months between his previous relationship ending and ours starting. As this was my first serious relationship, I had insecurities and self-esteem issues. I felt like he still wanted to be with his ex and that I wasn't good enough for him. I have matured and moved past these feelings, but something still bothers me, and I fear it always will. During that time of feeling insecure, I checked his ex's social media often. I'm not proud of it, but when our relationship started, they had briefly messaged each other due to a family member passing away on her part. About a year into our relationship, I saw a photo on her page that looked like my boyfriend's clothing. It was somewhat generic, and I don't want to get into too many details, but some other factors lined up with the timing of the photo being posted. He had stopped messaging me for a few hours, and they were eating at a place he had talked about a lot. The photo was taken in his hometown, far away from where she lived. I immediately felt dread and confronted him, but he denied it. I began to realize that I might have been paranoid. After that, things were fine, though we had some bumps along the way due to my insecurities. About 2 years into our relationship, I checked her page again and saw another photo featuring clothing similar to his. It's hard to explain without knowing him or seeing the photo, but once again, it was in his hometown. The person opposite his ex at the table was eating something he had ordered when we last went out, which was quite unique. Strangely enough, there was also a wooden toothpick on the side, something he always uses when we go out, and I'm sure he used it when we were together. The clothing was generic, but matched clothes he owns and has been wearing recently. It felt like a photo I could have taken myself when we went out to eat. Again, I asked him, and he denied it. There's not much else I can do since he said it wasn't him, even though I feel like it was. It's difficult to navigate because I was dealing with relationship anxiety, so it was hard to determine if my mind was overreacting or if there was something to it. Years have passed since this happened, and things are great between us. The insecurity has mostly gone, and I hadn't even thought about these scenarios until this morning. But looking back at the photos, I can't shake the feeling that I was right all along. Bringing it up now would lead to continued denial, and not knowing the truth eats away at me. I forget about it for months, but then it resurfaces, and I dwell on the scenario. The photos never revealed the identity of the person, and usually the ex would tag people she was out with. But since my partner doesn't have social media, no one was tagged. In the first scenario I mentioned, no one was tagged in the picture, but when I brought it up to him, we went back and forth. Later, when I checked within an hour, someone had been tagged in the photo, even though it was from 2 weeks ago. I don't think my boyfriend told her to tag someone, but the whole situation felt strange or oddly coincidental. Although it's not the case, I always felt teased by the photos. They didn't give away the person's identity but pointed arrows toward my boyfriend. If my partner had truly been meeting his ex, our relationship would be over. However, he would never admit it if it were the case. It feels like a constant cycle of questioning these scenarios, and I don't know how to handle the situation or whether to move on again. Moreover, I can't determine if I've convinced myself irrationally or not. Can someone please offer insight? Hey, it sounds like you've been dealing with insecurities and doubts in your relationship, especially regarding your partner's interactions with his ex. While it's understandable to feel uneasy about those photos, it's hard to draw any conclusions without concrete proof. It might be worth having an open and honest conversation with your partner about your concerns to see if you can find some clarity and reassurance. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.